Massive merger just announced by two of the nation's largest railroad companies. Atlanta-based Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific could combine to create the country's first coast-to-coast rail network. Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon is live at 6 from Norfolk Southern's Midtown headquarters. Doug, some worry this could come dangerously close to becoming a monopoly.
That's exactly the problem people are having with this, Blair. And, you know, this still needs government regulatory approval for that exact reason. But if the deal does go through, it would mean just shy of 50% of the U.S.'s rail freight would be in the hands of one company. A colossal merger announced Tuesday between rail conglomerates Union Pacific and Atlanta-based Norfolk Southern. The roughly $85 billion deal will bring together two of the country's largest movers of goods. The combined rail lines will stretch across 50,000 miles over 43 states, connecting Union Pacific's Mid-America and West Coast lines to Norfolk Southern's eastern routes. On an investor call Tuesday, company leaders said it's meant to streamline transport and cut back on the handoff of goods.
Around 1 million carloads interchange between our two companies. In the future, those million carloads will immediately see a 24 to 48 hour improvement in their transit time.
When it comes to transfer of goods and commodities, rail plays a significant role. I mean, everything from smaller goods to cars.
Ram Shalapa, a systems operation expert with Emory University, says the merger will no doubt streamline efficiency by literally keeping goods on track to their destinations.
You don't have to duplicate certain resources. There'll be smooth handover. You can cover a larger portion of the United States.
But with two large companies becoming one, there's now less competition in the rail industry. That leaves room, he says, for this new company to possibly drive up prices.
The question is that what are the alternatives? And if there are no alternatives, will these large conglomerates, will they exhibit monopolistic behavior, in which case they might actually raise prices because there are no options?
Yeah, and so this still needs approval from the Surface Transportation Board as well as shareholders, but it is expected to go through sometime in 2027. In Midtown, Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.